If you're a frequent P&W Haunts and Homicides listener, you probably already know we're Birdie ambassadors.
We wanted to take a quick moment to tell you a little bit more about this awesome product.
Birdie is the modern personal safety alarm made for women by women.
In a situation where you feel threatened or unsafe, you can simply activate Birdie's loud siren and flashing light to create a diversion.
Birdie is perfect to carry anytime because the device is lightweight and comes in a variety of colors.
So important. Use our ambassador link and coupon code P&W Haunts and Homicides to receive 10% off your purchase. Like our social media handles, the coupon code is all spelled out, no special characters.
You can find the link and promo code in our show notes or P&W Haunts and Homicides link tree.
Have a safe ass day! As indie podcasters, we love to show our support of other awesome shows. So stay tuned for the promo we've got to share with you this week.
Let's show them some love. You can find their info in our show notes.
Hi, I'm Dean. I'm the dad.
I'm Laura. I'm the mom.
And I'm Krista. I'm the daughter.
And together we are
Family Plot, a show about strange history.
We're true crime,
fanciful folk tales,
and all things paranormal.
We keep it PG-13.
I'm only 12, Dad.
It's okay, honey.
So listen to our show and join the family.
Available wherever you get your podcasts.
New episodes drop on Thursday.
And we range from stories that are local to us and as far away as the farthest star.
That was very nice, Krista.
So let our family entertain yours.
Join us for every episode of Family Plot.
Bye!
Bye.
You guys, we're back! And don't worry, we did get more wine.
Well, of course. Hi, Cassie.
Hi, Caitlin.
Hi, creepy people.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello. This is P&W Haunts and Homicides, the show where we start Cassie's job of editing from the very top.
That was a good one. It's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And come see us live at P&W True Crime Fest.
We'll be on our best behavior, I promise.
Ish.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They can't control us.
Yeah. You're not the boss of me.
We're in the dressing room throwing wine bottles around. This isn't the wine I wanted.
I'm not going to call him Dad, even if there's a fire. Which is a joke that I use probably far too frequently.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. I do this wedding is horseshit
Oh,
all the
all
time.
the
And
time.
people look at me like, this isn't a wedding. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I know. And I'm like,
You don't even get it.
okay.
God.
You know, you're so cool because you don't get my jokes. I said I didn't want the salmon. I said it 4 times.
Oh, well,
Anyhow.
I thought we weren't supposed to be happy and giggly during this.
I know. I'm helping you to wring the last vestiges of joy.
Okay. I think it's all out.
Perfect.
Okay.
This week's case was suggested specifically by one of our TikTok followers.
Oh.
Yeah. And I thought to myself, maybe our Patreon subscribers and other listeners down in California would like something closer to home. So they too are constantly looking over their shoulders.
Aw, yeah, get out of Oregon for a little while.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So here we go.
Yay.
Downtown San Luis Obispo isn't far from the gorgeous, sunny beaches that we're likely accustomed to picturing when we think of California.
Oh, yeah.
In the wee hours of the morning, when many are staggering home from the bars in the area, however, the coastal air traveling inland from the Pacific Ocean can make for quite chilly conditions. The downtown area is host to the popular watering holes for students of Polytech, and just 17 miles from those sandy beaches. Tortilla Flats, or the Flats as the locals called it before it was eventually closed, was a trendy Mexican restaurant in the area that served top-notch margaritas on Napomo Street.
Ooh. I would love a margarita right now.
Yeah.
Why didn't you theme this out?
I really should have.
on.
Yeah. It's not too late to text Chris and tell him to just go ahead and pick up some tequila.
I'm staying the night.
Midnight margaritas. Although some of the reviews of the restaurant had less than glowing reports of the food. Today, it's a well-liked seafood restaurant, but over 2 decades ago, it was the starting point of a seemingly benign conflict that would become the catalyst in a deadly disappearance.
Oh, uh-oh.
On November 12th of 1998, around midnight, 20-year-old college student Rachel Lindsay Newhouse was out with friends for a celebratory night of drinking.
Oh, yeah.
Rachel was what nearly every typical college-aged girl or woman strives to be by most standards. She was 5'6" and approximately 120 pounds.
Oh,
Same. Totally. She was smart, athletic, honest, conscientious, and generally a hardworking young woman with a large group of close-knit friends.
she sounds just delightful.
She does. Yeah. Which is how you know that if this were a horror movie, she would be the first to die.
Yeah. Ugh.
She was a junior year nutrition major at calpoly-tech who consistently got B's or better in her classes. And that's after a straight A track record through high school at Irving High in Orange County, where she was the student body officer.
Of course.
She was a popular and well-liked young woman, having formed many friendships through the multiple sports she participated in, like cross-country and soccer. Also same.
Cross country, man.
Yeah. They're like, you know what I just can't get enough of? Running. Let's do it over a long distance.
Yeah, no. I'm like 5K is good.
Ew.
We might do the turkey trot, which is, I think, 4 miles.
Oh, that's so gross.
But
I hate it.
I don't run the whole time. It's fine. I'm not a robot, you guys.
Okay. Gross. Rachel lived off campus with her best friend and a third roommate, which, ouch, awkward for the third wheel. But
Aw.
no, it sounds like they were all really good friends. Rachel worked at a local restaurant with one of her roommates, Nicole, and was supposed to work the following morning. Circling back to the night of the 12th, though Rachel was not of legal drinking age, she was looking forward to this night in particular as they celebrated with Beta Theta Pi
Ooh.
fraternity.
Fancy. That's a fraternity?
It is.
Oh,
yeah.
it sounded like a sorority.
I mean, yeah, they all
I
kind of.
don't know why. Yeah.
I mean, it's just Greek words, so it really
Yeah.
could be either. I don't know. I don't really know anything about Greek life. I know you're shocked.
I only know things because I watched the show Greek.
All right. Her best friend, Andrea West, wasn't old enough to drink either. They used something I've now coined the smudged stamp trick. I feel like this is one of those tricks that's rumored to work. Like 60% of the time, it works every time. One of those type of tricks. So granted, this was before the new millennium. As a hopeful miner, you lick the top of your unstamped hand before attempting to press at least a partially smudged stamp onto your hand from someone else who already got it because they are of age.
Yeah.
I feel like this only works if it's a place that's pretty lackadaisical about the whole stamp thing, and probably why you don't see a ton of places using that system anymore.
Yeah. It seems like there would be a lot of holes.
Yeah.
How do you wash your hands?
I know. No, I just feel like it's not super reliable.
No.
I thought for sure they would have been trading a single fake ID back and forth because I've definitely heard a lot of people, that used that. But this seems even less likely to be successful than, just trading a fake ID. I mean, how many people look that much alike and then also can keep composed enough to make this work? Like after a drink or two, are you not just kind of like,
Yeah.
you might not be quite as clever or as sneaky as you think you are.
Yeah. You would like show the guy and then like hand it to the other girl right in front of him.
Yeah,
I don't know why
exactly.
I think of a guy as like the bouncer. I guess a girl could be a bouncer.
Yeah, but I digress. Rachel's smudged stamp worked, but Andrea's didn't.
Oh no.
So she was going to be relegated to the restaurant side of the establishment, unable to enter the bar side. Andrea, of course, was not super thrilled after spending an hour stuck on the other side while her friend enjoyed the bar with all of the boys. When Rachel left the bar to use the bathroom, Andrea pounced and began complaining. Not all of the details are entirely clear regarding what was said or why exactly Rachel left after that. But we do know that's where her evening takes a decidedly dark turn.
Oh no.
I know. Yeah, and I thought it was kind of interesting that, she basically was like, okay, bye. But I guess there were some people that reflected back on that evening and they sort of thought, well, it wouldn't have been like her to just leave Andrea there, but maybe she just went through and immediately, one of their friends was close by. She got distracted. She didn't realize that Andrea didn't get into the bar side.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, I thought, I don't know, that's kind of awkward. You have your roommate and your best friend there with you and you just go along without her, but
Yeah.
sounds like there was, probably some miscommunication and the folly of youth.
Yeah.
So,
Or she just saw boys and was like, boys.
maybe
My eyes got real wide. I know
They
you guys can't
did.
see them, but
they did. Yeah, that's what we call anime eyes. After the argument with her roommate ensued while intoxicated, she was upset and decided to take off on her own, heading home on foot. She was approximately 2 miles walking distance from her home. And whether the group of people that she was with were fully aware of her plans or not, they don't seem to have put up any resistance to this plan. So she took to her route.
that's kind of far.
Yeah, 2 miles.
Yeah.
She wasn't about to ask her roommate and best friend, Andrea West, who she'd ridden with for a ride home.
Oh.
So I'm guessing at that point, maybe Andrea stayed, which I don't know why you would, because she couldn't get in on the bar side. But
Yeah.
again, it's just kind of some of these little odds and ends of we don't know exactly how this went down because it's college kids in a bar and they're just having fun.
Yeah. And they're all drinking.
Yeah.
Do they even know what's going on? I guess Andrea wasn't, but
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe she got in after that and
Maybe.
that would explain why she stayed or I don't know. Rachel lived in a small white house on a dead-end street. The weekly farmers market, having ended some time ago, left the streets relatively quiet. once she moved away from the bars, humming with activity. Though it was a much quieter section that remained of her journey, Rachel was proceeding through a nice, well-lit neighborhood with cute Victorian houses as she drew closer to the Jennifer Street Bridge.
Aww.
Yeah. Back in 1998, the bridge was only about a year old. It allowed pedestrian foot traffic a safe way to cross into the Jennifer Street neighborhood despite the Amtrak station that had previously made such a trek somewhat perilous. Which is kind of an understatement because I think walking across a series of train tracks is not good.
No.
Yeah, I think they tell you don't do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Stay off the tracks.
Yeah. The Jennifer Street Bridge was not particularly well lit and required a climb that may have presented a challenge to one when intoxicated, with 58 stairs.
Jeez.
I know. And just to look at the bridge itself, you wouldn't necessarily think it was, anything challenging, like, oh, I'm going to lose my footing or anything like that. But that just feels like a lot to get up
58
there.
steps.
Yeah. Cameras have since been added to the neighboring railroad square, one of which monitors the bridge. So some effort has been made to ensure the safety of local residents. The city believes the cameras, added sometime in 2021, will deter crime. But I think that must be small comfort to the Newhouse family, specifically Rachel's sister, Ashley, that requested them.
Oh.
And she definitely didn't request them because of anything that happened in 2021.
No.
I'm not sure why it takes us so long to do simple things. The cameras were decades too late to be of any help to Rachel back in 1998.
What? I thought you were going to be like, 5 years. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. I know I mentioned the date like a couple paragraphs back, and like you kind of forget because you just start kind of following the character of Rachel and not really thinking about the date so much. And then when you read that, you're like, what?
Yeah, definitely.
What?
Usually dates kind of just fly over my head unless I have something to like associate them with.
Yeah, yeah. There was a man waiting in the darkened parking lot below. He grabbed something from his front seat before proceeding toward her. It was a skull mask he had acquired for recent Halloween festivities that he donned before she even had a chance to notice him. No. Rachel Street awaited her on the other side of the bridge, which always made her smile. Rachel looking out at Rachel Street from Jennifer Street Bridge.
Oh, did you have to include that detail?
Yeah.
Because my heart hurt.
She was literally standing on a bridge looking out at a street and its little sign that had her name. Presh. Rachel, so close to home, had ignored any disquieting thoughts when she noticed the man that had been parked below. She was singularly focused on her goal of getting home after a rough night. In an instant, a seemingly charmed private moment transitioned wildly into something horrific. As the strange man she had noticed below struck her in the head, a violent crash into her temple. The following day, Friday the 13th, at 8:30 that morning, Teresa Audino was retrieving her car. She had been at the farmer's market the previous night with her boyfriend, as that's where she tended to procure her fresh food items, like her weekly supply of vegetables. I know. Wholesome, delicious, tasty, savory.
Yes.
And they had decided to walk home instead of driving. Again, so wholesome.
I know. With all their little groceries.
I know.
Aw. Did they have a wagon?
Right? I feel like, yeah. She had crossed the bridge around 11:30 p.m. the previous night, and nothing had seemed amiss. In stark contrast, what she found that morning was quite alarming. A pool of blood about a foot across.
Oh.
There were also splotches of blood that littered the stairs of the bridge and then out to the parking lot where the blood trail abruptly ended.
Oh my God. That would be so scary to see.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I feel like the worst part is that what we can assume is many hours later, you know that would be partially coagulated.
Oh.
And you'd just be thinking, oh my gosh, like I'm seeing this and something terrible has happened here, but I'm probably too late.
Yeah.
You know?
I'd probably think it was like an animal or something at first. Just like I would want it to be like an animal.
Yeah. A pool of blood a foot across.
You know
I
what?
don't know what animal that would be.
It's not rational, but
Yeah.
that's what my brain would think.
I mean, well, like you said, because you want to believe
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Ugh.
When she phoned the police with the information, she was told they had already begun receiving reports about the scene. Which figures, because that seems like something you might want to report to the police.
Yeah. Geez, how many people walked by that?
You know, I don't know. At that point, it would have obviously been several hours since this had occurred. So I assume, you know, at that point in the morning, it was still pretty early. But I mean, you got to think that at least a handful of calls have come in at that point.
Yeah.
Officer Christopher Staley. I love the name Christopher.
Oh, do you? Can't imagine why.
I don't like this Christopher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He worked the day shift and reported to the scene at the Jennifer Street Bridge. He took a sample of the blood he found there. I mean, sounds good so far. But then in what's likely to go down as one of the many almost unbelievable blunders in true crime history, he asked the city cleaning crew to clean away the blood.
No, he did not.
Mm-hmm.
No, he did not.
He sure did.
Why?
I don't know, Regis. I'd like to phone a friend.
Oh, Reach.
I know. Oh, Reed. And of course, because cleaning is their job and law enforcement related activities are his, they went ahead and cleaned. But you guys, it's fine. It's not like this was an amount of blood that made it perfectly clear that a violent crime had occurred.
Right?
Yeah. It's not like the bridge needed to be treated as the last place an unknown victim of an unknown crime occurred. I just don't know why we struggle to treat crime scenes as such. Why is that hard?
Yeah.
It's literally your job.
I know. It's like, it's blood. Like, there's a lot of blood there. What?
That's a lot of blood.
I don't- Did he take photos? Or are you going to get there?
Honestly, I didn't hear any mention of that. I kind of doubt it.
So he just took a sample and was like, all right, clean this shit up.
Yeah. Wow. Not their best.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Kirk Williams, the assistant manager at SLO Brewing Company, was becoming concerned about one of his employees. This is where Rachel worked as a hostess. This was a more steady job, in addition to babysitting that she did regularly, according to her aunt.
Aww.
Kirk checked in with one of Rachel's 3 roommates, Nicole Talinda, when she didn't show up to work. Nicole shared that she hadn't seen or heard from Rachel, but that she was aware that Rachel also hadn't shown up for classes either.
Oh.
Which is, probably something that, a star student does.
Yeah.
Nothing to see here.
Did she, tell anyone or?
No, not until Rachel didn't show up for work. And then the real grown-ups were like, that's weird. We pay her to be here. Yeah. Now, as you might imagine, it doesn't take long for some serious panic to set in. On November 14th, a full-scale search for Rachel begins, which is 2 fucking days after she went missing, but
No.
that's fine. Actually, you guys, spoiler alert, it's not fine.
I didn't think so. It's not the podcast for things that turn out fine typically.
No. Hundreds of posters were put up by friends and other college students. Police Captain Bart Topham led the search, including the rescue team of approximately 25 to up to 60 people on any given day, plus tracking dogs and a helicopter.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. He had them tracing her typical path home and even searching nearby creeks.
Oh.
Which is never great.
Yeah.
Alarm bells go off for Nicole right away, and she quickly gets on the phone with the family. Guys, she's probably already been missing for way longer than it should take for you to contact her family.
Oh, no. Yeah, so they didn't even know yet.
Mm-mm.
Ugh.
Well, they didn't know right away, which, to be fair, you know, if your roommate doesn't show up to a class, she doesn't show up for work, you know, I don't know, you're in college, probably not top of mind for you, but
Yeah.
for fuck's sake, you guys, doesn't she pay part of the rent?
Yeah.
Like, by November 16th, her boss, friends, police, still no one had heard from Rachel. The blood that was collected from the scene at the Jennifer Street Bridge was identified as Rachel's. But for 3 months, there were no leads. That is until Andrea Crawford went missing from her Branch Street duplex on March 11th of 1999 around 2:45 a.m. She'd been on the phone with a friend, eventually falling asleep, likely with her phone still in hand.
Mm-hmm.
She was awoken by the sound of her cat meowing. It was after checking on the cat that she discovered a man masked in pantyhose was in her bathroom.
Oh, my God.
He quickly incapacitated her, and before removing her from the apartment, he grabbed some of her belongings, both her Korn and George Strait CDs.
Oh, okay. I was like, he took her corn?
Korn?
Why?
Now, that's a gal with an eclectic mix of music taste.
Yeah.
We
I like
definitely
her.
would have been friends.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
Period, just based on that. He also took her magic 8-ball keychain.
I hate that.
Yeah.
That pisses me off.
At some point, you might learn to hold a place in your heart for it, though.
The 8-ball?
Mhm.
I'm just mad that he took it.
I know. But it's going to be okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. She saw me getting panicky.
Yeah. No, I mean, the 8-ball becomes important later.
Okay.
Andrea was born to parents Gail and Jim Eberhardt on July 10th of 1978 in the Pasco-Franklin County area of Washington State. Andrea's parents did not have a happy marriage and divorced when she was only 6 months old. After the divorce is when her mom relocated them to California. Gail Eberhardt and her young daughter, Andrea, moved in with her parents, who were thrilled to have their daughter bring their granddaughter to live with them so that they could dote on her.
Oh.
Aww. Andrea's awesomely weird mishmash music collection certainly wasn't the only unique thing about her. First off, the way her name was spelled is the most unique rendition of the name that I've seen to date.
Oh. Interesting.
I think partially just because the way that it's spelled, it makes it totally clear that it is Andrea, not like Andrea.
Okay.
The way that it's spelled, I think it'd be pretty hard to mistake it. Not impossible, because how people have pronounced my name is the ungodly things I've been called. It's Aundria.
Oh, okay.
Which to me is like, that's definitely Andrea. While her personality and disposition were said to be similar to Rachel, she was more of a creative type than athletic. Personally, I think this description is selling her short. You can tell me what you think, but to say that she wasn't athletic would, I feel like, be completely false. She was said to have a completely contagious laugh and loved ballet dancing.
Oh, that's athletic.
An injury at age 16 disrupted her plans as a ballet dancer,
Oh,
which I'll admit, being a ballet dancer in the first place sounds fairly athletic to me. But to actually like be like so into it that you have an injury that then prevents you from moving forward in that pursuit, I'm like, I mean, maybe she just has like weak joints or something, but like kind of sounds athletic as fuck.
yeah. Man, that sucks. That's so like traumatizing too.
No, at 16.
Yeah. Oh.
When her injury took away her ability to dance, she turned her attention to her love for horses. And her father owned some. And it was a perk of her visits to him. It became a tremendously rewarding hobby. Although, again, she was pretty incredible. So even something that she approached initially as a hobby turned out like pretty fucking gangbusters. Here's what I mean. She was passionate about horseback riding. Cool. Same. Though it's not something that I regularly get to do. Andrea was an experienced rider, but took horseback riding lessons anyway because she loved it.
Aw.
And eventually, she took up barrel racing and other competitions that she would win awards at during her heyday.
Oh, cute.
Get it?
Yes. I like that.
I know.
Oh.
She was also actually very handy and capable under the hood of her own vehicle.
Oh, yes, girl.
Mm-hmm. And enjoyed attending local drag races.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which I don't love. A particular article that I read about the women that's associated with this case, and one of the universities basically talked about the classic ways that, especially in the late 90s, news sources, news outlets would victim blame the women. Like, oh, they talked about how she would go to these drag races and, street races and things. And it sort of was, the way the piece was written sort of left a negative impression of her.
Oh.
And with Rachel Newhouse, it was like, well, she was underage drinking and like, these are the things that happen. And same with another gal who, I'm not going to talk about her yet.
Ugh.
I fucking hate it.
That's awful. I hope that shit's like stopped. Like I hope
Totally.
that it doesn't happen anymore, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, we've definitely made up the wage gap. Racism is over. And world peace.
Yay.
She was also meticulous about taking care of the Mustang that she drove. So if that felt confusing, I get it. But she had a love for horses and also her Mustang car.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah. Driving machine, automobile.
I didn't put two and two together.
Yeah. The first time I read it, I was like, what do you mean? What's this about a Mustang? Like she had a Mustang? Like
She just
like
rode
a wild
horse
horse
around town?
Like what?
Which could equally be as badass.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, get it. She was a multifaceted lady. Andrea Crawford didn't know Rachel Newhouse or go to the same college, but they did both live in that same California town. Local authorities denied a connection between the cases, but that didn't fool most locals because it wasn't a high crime area, especially violent crime. So basically everybody was immediately like, listen, we don't believe you, first of all. Second of all, what are you doing to fix this? Third of all, I would like to speak to a manager. Thankfully, it wasn't just the locals on high alert. On March 16th of 1999, at the Pismo Beach Athletic Club, David Zaragoza was getting his typical exercise routine in while also reading about a missing young woman, Andrea Crawford. Something nagged at him about the case, and I'm inclined to say his instincts were probably pretty trustworthy. At the time, he was working as a parole officer in San Luis Obispo County. He'd worked in one aspect of corrections or law enforcement for 10 years already at that point. And the kicker? He was also experienced working with criminals that had perpetrated sexual offenses. Someone cue the Law & Order SVU theme here, y'all. No word on whether he's as attractive as Elliot Stabler at the time of this recording.
I think just the qualifications make him attractive, right?
Yeah. I was going to look, but I was like, maybe we should focus.
Or just keep the nice mental picture, you know? You don't want to ruin it.
Yeah.
Why ruin the fun?
Basically.
It's the little things, you know?
Yeah. Elliot Stabler butt.
I just see that picture of him with his hand on his hip.
You guys know what we want. You know.
Yeah, we know.
It's not like my screensaver or anything.
What's Chris gonna say?
Get it, girl.
That's a really good Christopher impression.
We'll play it for him. We can ask for his feedback. San Luis Obispo County has numerous prisons within a 140-mile stretch, some of which were, and I'd guess to this day probably still are, housing incredibly notorious prisoners within a very short distance from the local colleges.
Oh, that seems safe.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
I have no notes. One of his parolee charges flashed to the front of his mind as he was learning about Andrea's case. Zaragoza had a hunch, like an Elliot Stabler quality hunch.
Oh, snap.
I know. Snappity motherfucking snap, actually.
Was his character based off this guy?
It could be, I feel like.
When did SVU come out?
Definitely before this, or right around the same time as this, but they could have drawn inspiration.
I see.
You know what? I'm going with that. Rex Krebs, which is hands down one of the singularly most awful and distinctive names of anyone I've covered to date.
That's someone's name?
That is, in fact, someone's name.
Oh, okay.
Rex Allen Krebs.
Not Krabs.
I literally immediately was like, crabs with a K? Weird.
This is a bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
It's weirder because it's not crabs.
Krabs. Well, how's it spelled?
Krebs.
Well, that's how I say crabs.
Right?
Krabs.
Rex lived in the woods of the Davis Canyon area near Avila Beach, south of San Luis Obispo. Zaragoza had been assigned to oversee Krebs during his parole back in 1997, following his release from Soledad Prison. He had been incarcerated for not one, but 2 rapes that had occurred in nearby Arroyo Grande and Oceano. These crimes had occurred some 10 years prior, and Rex's MO had often included breaking into the women's homes.
Ew.
Yeah, it's super gross.
I feel like he should have been in jail a lot longer.
Mm-hmm.
Prison, jail, whatever you said.
He really should have been. Following his hunch, Zaragoza drove his Jeep out to Davis Canyon Road to the home of his parolee. Rex Krebs lived in a rental property that was owned by Muriel Wright. The property was on a rocky, narrow road and nearly inaccessible by less robust vehicles. But did I mention he has a Jeep?
You did.
Okay.
I love Jeeps.
Yeah. There weren't many homes in the area, so any of the neighboring homes were actually spaced out by roughly a half a mile or so. So your nearest neighbor is not near,
Yeah.
which is great.
I know. I was just going to say that's the dream.
Yeah. It was his dream as well.
Well, for different reasons.
Yeah. The residents were generally very particular about their privacy, which Zaragoza suspected is why Krebs had opted for the rundown home in this particular area. Pretty safe bet, I'd say. When Zaragoza arrived, he found Krebs acting suspiciously, complaining that he'd hurt his ribs by falling into a wood pile.
Okay.
But then Rex always did seem to have a pattern of behaving oddly and lying about seemingly meaningless things to law enforcement. But having a weird and unbelievable story about the source of his injury wasn't nothing to Zaragoza. He thought the injury seemed more consistent with maybe just squeezing through a small window, as the perpetrator was believed to have done in Andrea Crawford's case.
Oh no. I don't like that.
Zaragoza followed up with a detective regarding his suspicions. The information was passed along to the Department of Justice, to Karen Sandusky specifically. Now listen, I know we have a lot to say about Karens oftentimes. I think probably we should probably cool it on that.
Yeah.
Because she's like the coolest Karen.
Yeah. Well, it's not actual Karens.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
definitely not. Yeah,
Yeah.
just to be clear. She typically received tips from various sources that were considered a lesser priority. Essentially, her official title must have been something like Wild Goose Chaser.
Okay.
She got the ones that they're like, I mean, technically we have to follow up on all of the tips, but like, this is nothing. But she picked up on some details that flagged this as a much higher priority. So high priority, in fact, that she called Krebs to initiate a search of his home, which I don't actually have this in my notes, but if a parole officer, someone who's been in various aspects of corrections and law enforcement for roughly a decade, provides you with a tip about one of his parolees, and he's concerned that maybe somehow this man has involvement in an active missing persons case, how does that end up on Karen's desk?
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
So,
I don't have a lot of words,
yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have words either. As I was writing it, I was like, I'll just think of what to say in the fucking moment, I guess.
That is crazy. That's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
It was agreed that the search would be conducted when Krebs could be present, which I believe was probably really just a courtesy because I think typically if you're a sex offender on parole, you don't really have much say when law enforcement comes knocking.
Yeah.
I think you pretty
shouldn't.
much gotta let them in.
Yeah.
I think in many states, until you're released from that type of supervision, it's basically like having a signed search warrant at the ready 24/7. And I don't feel bad about it.
No.
No.
That's what happens.
Right? This is what you get.
Consequences.
Karen alerted Zaragoza that a search of his parolee's property would be taking place. Prior to the search, she met with Zaragoza to familiarize with Rex's file at Zaragoza's office. This was after a cursory trip out to the area of Rex's home to get the lay of the land. Are you maybe getting like an Olivia Benson vibe?
Oh, snap. Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, well, thank God these two, even though they're not partners, they're not following the narrative arc of SVU. Somehow they managed to still do the things.
Yeah.
Thank you. That is all. When it came time for the search, there were 5 law enforcement officers from various agencies present. A few items that would be points of interest were found. Black boots, 2 chains, not the rapper, 2 actual chains, index cards, and various paperwork. All of which sounds exceedingly uninteresting. But the paperwork, for example, consisted in part of receipts from his workplace with women's phone numbers and some, it sounds like maybe addresses on them. Also, save the best for last, some CO2 cartridges and BB pellets.
Okay.
Which also doesn't sound that interesting, to be fair. Those last couple of items would allow them to take him into custody, as it was a parole violation for him to possess a weapon or even something resembling a weapon.
Oh, okay.
Suck it, Rex. Rex stated the BB gun itself was at his workplace. They arrested him that following morning at his workplace, which was 84 Lumber at that time, upon confirming the location of the weapon. He didn't resist the arrest and provided them with the correct location of the BB gun in the building. Apparently, Krebs cried when he was arrested.
Aww.
Nothing weird about that, though, right? Just a grown man who hurts women for sport crying because he's been caught back on his bullshit. Well, whether or not they thought it was weird, which they probably did, the officers now conducted a more thorough search of his home while Krebs was in custody. Amongst other additional items taken into evidence, the most shocking was an old hand-carved wooden box. And I keep burying the lead because it's fun for me.
I know, I'm like, I don't want to. What's with the box? What's in the box?
Exactly. When the box had been opened, it was discovered it contained matchbooks, pins, a guitar pick, blah, 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 more boring stuff. Just kidding, you guys. And a magic 8-ball keychain.
I knew you were going to say that.
That was the actual ass jackpot as far as they were concerned.
Did they know what they were looking at the time?
I think so, because they were already aware that that had been taken.
Okay.
This was one of the items that obviously I mentioned earlier in the episode was documented as missing from Andrea's apartment and belongings.
Gosh. That's like straight from a movie or like a show.
know.
Like you're looking around, searching, and you open a box and it's this missing girl's keychain.
No, I mean, literally, it's in quite a few movies.
I got the chills.
It's so creepy. And it's just funny to me, too, because, like, with what we do with the tarot readings and everything, I was like, oh, gosh, that just gets me in the feels a little bit.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain exactly why, but now it's not like she owned the only one ever made or anything.
Yeah.
But it definitely had everyone's attention. Or more accurately, Rex Allen Krebs had everyone's attention.
Oh, snap. You going down, Krebs?
Going down. So tarot?
Tarot. Okay. It wasn't great, but I'll take it.
It's a lot better than what I was doing there.
So we are looking for some insight into, what do you call this? Like this awful, horrible, terribleness. Crabs.
Yeah, I don't.
Mr. Krabs.
I don't know. This is just. I really hate everything about this. Just so we're all clear. Okay, I'm gonna just do that. I'm gonna trust it. Did you see it?
No. What is it? Oh, okay. Weird.
The Wheel of Fortune, which we also drew earlier today in the upright position for another case.
Weird.
Kind of.
Interesting. Okay. Huh. I'm not sure in the reverse what this means, you know?
I don't. Okay, well, let's get into it, shall we?
Is this a Leo sign?
I think it is, yeah. Oh, yeah, because fire. I think so.
Because duh, fire.
Because fire. All right, so the Wheel of Fortune, it's the 10th of the major arcana. Keywords are change, destiny, unexpected turn of events, and good luck. It's just so weird because I've literally read this just within a few hours. Okay.
It's really weird.
Some decks depict the Wheel of Fortune with 8 spokes, a reference to the 8 pagan sabbats or holidays that mark the sun's annual passage across the sky, and the ever-turning cycles of life. Other decks show human or mythical figures attached to the wheel, indicating we're all tied to the wheel of time and subject to life's ups and downs. Sorry, I have a bug buzzing around right by my face.
God.
I think that's part of why I'm like,
Oh my goodness.
The Rider-Waite-Smith deck includes winged versions of astrological symbols which represent the 4 elements in the card's corners, suggesting the influence of divine forces. Consciously or unconsciously, you've put something in motion and you now have little or no control over the outcome. That's correct.
Yeah.
A new phase in your life is beginning. An important decision must be made, or an upcoming circumstance will change your life. Destiny is at work, and you have to accept whatever happens. All you can do is attune yourself to the forces operating now.
I don't want to accept what happens.
The Wheel of Fortune is linked to the 3 fates, collectively called the Mirai in Greek mythology. One spins the thread of life, the second weaves it, and the third cuts it. Thus, the Wheel of Fortune is a reminder of the mysterious cycles of life, death, and rebirth, and of the invisible forces that measure them out to us.
Aww.
Okay, so we got this in the reverse this time.
Okay. I want to say something real quick before I forget.
Yeah.
So you said a lot of 8s at the beginning, and it reminded me of the 8 ball.
Yeah.
And then this is like ball shaped.
It is. Gosh, that's so weird.
Yeah. I was thinking when I was shuffling, I was like, oh, how weird would it be if we got like the 8 card, you know?
Something, yeah,
but like,
it kind of is.
That was like a lot of 8s that you mentioned. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
I want to yell.
Okay, so the Wheel of Fortune, but it's in reverse. It's just, I don't know, it's just so strange. I'm calling it the 8 ball card. Okay, so we have the extra excerpt for the Wheel of Fortune too. I literally read this to you guys just this last week. I'm not gonna go into it. It's the Wiccan read, and it really harkens back to minding the rule of 3.
Oh, all the yees.
Yeah, the rule of 3 though. That is interesting. Thinking about some other things I know about the case. The rule of 3. Okay, well, you'll see. Okay. Reversed, the Wheel of Fortune can indicate losses or that a situation will turn out badly. More often, it suggests you're trying to avoid your destiny, refusing to make the necessary changes or take the required actions. Fear of the unknown is blocking you, and this is causing stagnation and frustration. It's time to take the wheel and do what you know you need to do. In a reading about money, the reversed wheel can indicate ups and downs in your finances. An investment may be unstable, or fear may cause you to miss an opportunity. Perhaps the time simply isn't right for big gains. Be patient, but remain alert. If the reading is about your job, you may experience delays or disappointments because you lack commitment. A job change may not be advantageous right now. Either you're not prepared to make this move or the position you're considering isn't stable. In a reading about love, you may experience delays in establishing a relationship, perhaps because the timing isn't right. This card can also signify a turn for the worse in a partnership, although it may only be temporary. There's some interesting things in here.
Yeah.
I definitely definitely all turns out badly. There's definitely, instances of stagnation and just... Okay, well, I think this one's going to make a lot of sense in relation to the case, especially as we move ahead. And so I'm really curious what card we're going to get when I go to wrap up this case.
Yeah. What did you say about the work in the shoot? Like you're not doing what you know you're supposed to be doing or something.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's time to take the wheel and do what you know you need to do.
That just reminded me of the man who just took the blood sample and was like, clean this up.
Oh my gosh, I know. God, there are some really interesting points in this for sure. I think I'm curious to see what other sort of number patterns and things maybe pop up.
Yeah.
The 8 ball in this being, so symbolic and really intertwined with the number 8 is...
Yeah.
That's interesting to me.
That's so weird. And you talked about just two girls this time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's 2 girls on the card.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Did they look like the people you talked about? Just a shot in the dark here.
I mean, what's interesting about this is on the surface, not necessarily, but does this not look like kind of a preppy, popular, athletic, more stereotypical cheerleader type? And this looks like the artsy-fartsy, artsy-fartsy creative type.
Yeah, she's got blue hair.
I don't know.
She looks cool. Like she could totally work on a car. That was the same person, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get details confused, but I try.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
interesting.
Good.
I would be interested to know like their signs as well. Like, are they the ones appearing on the card too? Because there's a lot of astrological signs on this card.
Yeah, it definitely is tied to that. We can take a look at the at their dates of birth and see, and we'll report back if we see anything that looks like it's significant related to the card. But that's a good idea, Cassie.
Oh, thank you.
She's full of them, you guys.
I'm full of something.
Not pasta, and we're gonna go fix that right now. I know. Oh my goodness.
Well, that was sad. Thanks, Caitlin.
You're welcome. Let's go eat our feelings.
Okay, perfect. Okay. I'm down.
Okay.
All right.
Have a creepy ass day. See you next Tuesday.
Not you, Mr. Krabs.
No.
Or I guess we'll probably see him though. Because we're going to be talking about him some more, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I didn't say, but yeah, we'll see how many this ends up being. I think 2 parts.
Fucking Krabs.
So for all of you that are listening, if you have any true crime or paranormal stories that you want us to share, maybe with the whole Pacific Northwest.
Yes, we would love to read them on the pod.
Yes, we will read them out loud.
Not just in our heads.
Yes. They don't have to be from the Pacific Northwest if you would like to share. Email us at pnwhauntsandhomicides@gmail.com. It's all spelled out, no special characters. Super duper easy peasy.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Same thing as the email at pnwhauntsandhomicides, all spelled out, no special characters. Please also rate and review us on whatever platform you're listening to, and check out our stories on social media because our meme game is hot.
Agreed.
And if you agree, like Caitlin, you can also find us on Patreon and support the show.
bitchin'. Look who's calling. It's El Salvador. Do you think they are outside with our tequila?
Oh my God, that's weird. Answer it.
No.
Answer it.
No.
Just answer it. Do you have my margaritas?
You do it. I'm afraid.
Hello? It says you're calling from El Salvador. Do you have my margaritas?
And she just hangs up. No, thank you.
I thought it was a robot.
It sounded like a
It
robot.
was a real person.
Oh my God.
She was like,
Yeah.
It didn't sound important. Hopefully it wasn't.